Okay. Your central philosophy is to do with yoga and with breathing techniques, but you also believe in past life. You know, one of my colleagues spent a week with you at the foundation and wrote a big piece. And he said that there people feel that they can see disembodied selves, that, you know, your wife you felt was a sister from the past life.
क्या बोले मैं समझा नहीं.
Your wife you felt was a sister from the past life.
कौन है ये? Who is he?
He is a spiritual teacher, a global philanthropist, and the best-selling author who's known for challenging how we think about life.
When it comes to life, it doesn't matter what you say, what you think, what you do, what I say will happen. So I am an authoritarian because I don't listen to anybody. I am an absolute authoritarian. If God comes, I will not listen to him because I know better than him. If God comes, I will not listen to him because I know better than him.
थोड़ी मर्यादा रखिए.
This sounds absolutely egoistic, stupid, Mike Tyson-like. But what can I do? It's true.
These days, they're also trying to give a commentary on my quotes and my talks and everything, how stupid I am. This is a good angle they've taken. I'm very much excited about this angle.
Let me tell you the story of my favorite fake spiritual guru. In 2011, filmmaker Vikram Gandhi documented a fascinating social experiment where he pretended to be a spiritual Baba to make one simple point.
That spiritual leaders are just illusions, and we are the ones who decide who and what is real. So I thought, what if I became a spiritual leader? If I could do it, wouldn't it prove anyone could?
So he transformed his look, learned the basic practices of yoga, and created his own chants, postures, and teachings along with a random backstory of how his spiritual journey started.
This is the story of the biggest lie I've ever told and the greatest truth I've ever experienced.
He named himself Sri Kumare and quickly ended up building a following of staunch believers.
People were asking for my blessing, so I just started to imagine I had this blue light, this pure love inside me, and I would just shoot it onto them. I didn't know what I was doing, but people seemed so fascinated by me.
He would focus on the different chakras. It was just on fire. It's very powerful.
I feel myself getting warmer than normal. I'm sure that's your energy.
There's a white glow against your body. It's so pure and bright and white. It's just absolutely beautiful.
The power of illusion was greater in Tucson than I'd ever imagined.
I consider Kumari to be a living embodiment of the divine.
I believe he's like kind of prophet.
The most amazing thing that ever happened to my life.
I am completely in love with him. I will remember him from the day I die. I will tell my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids about this wonderful person that came into my life and changed me.
This film called Kumare ends with Vikram revealing to his followers that he had absolutely no divine powers, nor was he a master of any secret spiritual knowledge. The most surprising part of the eventual revelation was that the same disciples who till now had felt the same kind of deep connection and devotion towards Kumare reacted very differently when confronted with the truth of him being a filmmaker instead of a spiritual guru. Some of them understood the point he was trying to make and continued on the path of self-transformation, while a few others decided to never speak to him again. Some seemed to agree with his teachings but not with his methods, while some, even after the revelation, continued to believe that Vikram did indeed possess some spiritual powers, even though he continued to tell them that he did not.
This whole thing is a big trick to help people realize that they do not need a guru, that everything they want, all their happiness is inside themselves. That the same good that you see inside this man, you also have inside yourself. That you did not need a guru to make yourself happy.
But this simple truth that self-proclaimed spiritual gurus are just normal human beings like the rest of us has always been very difficult for the majority of people to accept, and thus they continue to flock in large numbers to these babas in search of some solace from the complexities and problems that confront human life.
If your intelligence was working for you, if your thoughts and emotions happen the way you want right now, would you keep yourself blissful or stressful?
Blissful.
Blissful.
Of course.
Why is that not happening?
You're right.
Now the promise of transforming one's stress into bliss presents an incredible business potential for these spiritual gurus, which is why they keep springing up across generations claiming to have the most accurate answers for all your questions, ranging from the existence of God to the meaning of life and the mystery of death, from what to eat to what to wear, how to sleep, who to marry, and even more important questions like,
can wasting our semen damage us spiritually?
Can we have the truth about masturbation?
Well, if this question is coming because you are using it to spill it on the JNU bed sheets, if that's how you're using it, well, that's your compulsion, you're doing whatever you're doing.
And of course, a know-it-all Baba like Sadhguru then proceeds to confidently give the most unscientific and illogical answers you've ever heard. For example,
if a woman delivers a male child, the quality of the milk that she produces is in a certain way. If she delivers a female child, the quality of the milk is totally different.
क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
If she delivers twins, one male and one female, one breast will ooze certain type of milk, another breast will ooze another kind of milk.
कुछ भी
If I take a glass of water in my hand and just look at it in a certain way and give it to you, well-being will come to you. If I look at it another way and give it to you, you will fall sick tonight.
जनता को आप मूर्ख समझना बंद कर दीजिए।
After a person dies, most of the time up to 14 days, fingernails grow, hair grows. I've actually seen a burning body getting up and walking. They've set fire to it, it's burning, but it gets up and walks.
फेंको अपनी पूरी शक्ति के साथ फेंको।
If you put your head to the north and sleep, you could have disturbed sleep. It is possible that you can have a stroke or you could just die in your sleep.
नहीं।
So if iron is floating around in your blood and if I put a very powerful magnet to the top of your head, it is possible that slowly blood may start moving in that direction, isn't it?
No!
now such spiritual gurus like Sadhguru, aka Jaggi Vasudev, are actually not the guru or master of spirituality, but indeed masters of storytelling.
Human beings need stories to live with.
And end up running successful businesses based on their fictional stories, which in turn seem to be based on WhatsApp forwards.
WhatsApp is their source of knowledge.
And besides the clothing, it's hard for me to differentiate between these spiritual babas and my colony's WhatsApp uncles.
I want you to understand, we can make you believe just about anything. If you work hard enough on you, we can make you believe anything.
But being factually and logically incorrect will never stop Godman like Jaggi Baba from repeating the same claims over and over again, because his intention anyway is to establish himself beyond the realm of science.
So your idea of science has to change if you have to dwell if you want to enter into certain other dimensions.
Now on one hand, Jaggi Baba projects science as a concept which is inferior to the concept of spirituality, while on the other hand, he conveniently uses scientific terms like engineering, technology and dimensions over and over again to sound smart and updated with the modern world.
You see, today people are deeply engrossed in their iPhones, but what about the eye? You need to expand the dimension of your perception. So, I would say spiritual process is far closer to scientific inquiry like a science. So we call this inner engineering, it's a technology for well-being.
Now the saddest part about the dissemination of such misinformation in the name of spirituality by Babas like Jaggi is that a lot of it is happening at events in India's top science colleges like IITs, AIIMS and JNU.
It is scientifically correct, not correct, because science itself is not correct, just know this.
On behalf of this whole fraternity of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, we're really privileged to have you here and sit in front of you.
Let me give you another prime example of Jaggi Baba's pseudo-dimensional knowledge that is so beyond science and reason that it can't even ever be fact-checked.
So if you died of old age, everything is fine with your body, you went to bed and you never woke up. Such a person may get back into another womb within 48 hours. But a person who died by breaking his body, this person may take 1,000 years, because now your limbo situation is long, very, very long, and the chances of finding another womb are very little.
Now any rational mind would immediately question the source of this information that Jaggi Baba spreads as the ultimate truth about death. But then we also know that a Baba only allows his followers the privilege of blind devotion and trust, not logical questioning.
Anything that doesn't fit into your logic, you will reject. In this, you rejected the entire cosmos. In this, you have rejected the magic of life. You have become a slave of logic.
And why the hell would anyone choose to be a slave of logic when they can instead choose to be a slave of a self-proclaimed spiritual guru?
Your thought is essentially coming from the information that is already there in your mind. This data you gathered through the agencies of five senses. These five senses are not reliable.
I mean, the first thing a spiritualist will do, will try to shake your confidence in the five senses that you have. Only then he can control you. And whatever he's saying, he's using his brain. He doesn't want you to use your brain. Even if you think that the mind is not everything, that too has come from the mind. If you don't trust mind, how do you trust this thought? Whatever expansion happens in your mind. And you cannot undermine it. And whoever suggests that that is to be undermined is playing a very dangerous game with you.
Now the likes of Jaggi very well understand the loss of credibility that religion has faced over the last couple of generations due to the progress of science. So he smartly pretends to distance himself from the concept of religion and distinguishes it from the concept of spirituality.
There's always been a debate about these two terms, religion and then spirituality. There are people who feel like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. To those people who are at the crossroad between religion and spirituality, what is your answer to that dilemma?
The basis of spirituality is a realization that I do not know. But the moment you say, I'm religious, what you're saying is, everything that I do not know, I will make it up. Somebody makes it up with scriptural assistance, somebody makes it up with the assistance of a priest or a pandit or a guru or whatever. But you seek some authority. You kind of make a compromise in your life that instead of truth, you settle for an authority as the truth. Spiritual process means truth is the only authority for you. Authority is never the truth for you.
Wait a minute!
When it comes to life, I am an absolute authoritarian. It doesn't matter what you say, what you think, what you do, what I say will happen. So I am an authoritarian because I don't listen to anybody.
So it's not just that science and common sense hold no meaning for Jaggi Baba. Even words hold no meaning for him. So he first tells his followers that religion is different from spirituality because
Religion means authority is the truth. Spirituality means truth is the only authority.
But then he also establishes himself as the highest authority on life.
If God comes, I will not listen to him because I know better than him.
So he's implying that instead of the scriptural or priestly authority of religion, Jaggi Baba has made himself the authority for his spiritual followers. Therefore, according to his own definition, he's not teaching spirituality, but instead has started his own religion where he's the godlike authority.
Usually you think authoritarian means a Hitler, a Stalin or a Mussolini or somebody else like that. No, I think I fit into that label much better than them.
Even though Jaggi Baba likes to identify as an authoritarian, his celebrity follower Karan Johar once identified him as the Santa Claus of spirituality. But while the myth of Santa Claus belongs to a particular religion, the myth of Jaggi Baba claims that he has never identified with any religion whatsoever.
What religion are you? What religion are you?
I never identified with myself with any religion as such.
He also claims that he has neither read nor has he ever felt the need to read any religious scripture in his life ever.
I was not interested in either Shiva or Vishnu or sun or moon or anything. I have neither read the Gita, nor the Vedas, nor the Upanishads, nor even the Yoga Sutra.
You were practicing yoga, but you hadn't read any of the ancient texts?
I have never read any ancient text, not even now.
You don't have any desire to find what they were thinking?
Because my own clarity has never failed me. My own clarity has never failed me.
Attitude, huh? What does he think of himself?
People say Sadhguru is God.
Whatever.
So Jaggi Baba, in order to validate his spiritual teachings, invented a figure called Adi Yogi,
the first yogi,
who he claims was a yogi from 15,000 years ago and was responsible for spreading the yogic tradition across the world through his 7 followers.
Do you think this was a real person, like a real individual?
It was a real person, so he must have been 7 or 8 feet tall.
But just like he's copied so many of his teachings, quotes and stories from Osho, he's also copied the idea of Adi Yogi from the Hindu god Shiva, probably appropriating Lord Shiva to build a bigger audience, which is why the biggest event that Jaggi Baba organizes every year is on Mahashivratri.
Namaskaram, welcome to Mahashivratri 2025.
And then to confuse his audience further, he gives the strangest explanation for the similarities between these two figures.
In the popular culture, he is Shiva, but in the spiritual culture, he is Adi Yogi, because he never told us his name. Then somebody said, but he is Shiva, because he's grasped that which is not. So Shiva means that which is not. We may even name our dog Shiva, because a dog does not know that which is not.
Now if you've understood what he just said, then I want to congratulate you on probably being the second ever person to have landed on the same dimension of understanding as Jaggi Baba, because I couldn't understand even a single word of the word salad he just served.
We may even name our dog Shiva.
How insulting is that? Hello?
He continues to claim that he has no religious affiliation whatsoever and has never read a scripture. But then he also keeps quoting stories from Hindu scriptures as the unique stories of Adi Yogi.
And you won't believe this. Over 15,000 years ago, he spoke something which is parallel to Darwin's theory of evolution. So 10 avatars are, first avatar is called Matsya avatar, which means the life was in the form of fish. The second one is Kurma avatar, which means it's a turtle. The third one is a wild boar, it's called Varaha avatar. Then the next one is called Narasimha, who is half man, half animal. Next one is a dwarfed man, Vamana avatar. The next one is a full-grown man, but a volatile man. So the next one is a peaceful man, is a Rama avatar, he's a peaceful, gentle man. The next one is a loving man, Krishna avatar. The next one is a Buddha avatar, who is a meditative man. The next one, the 10th one, is supposed to be the mystical man. If you look at Darwin's theory of evolution, somewhere it runs parallel to this. Hello? Isn't it?
No! Now let me tell you an even more fascinating lore of creation, the origin story of how Jaggi Vasudev became Sadhguru. So he claims to have been born multiple times before, once as a tribal man called Bilva, who died from a cobra bite and in his last moments focused on his breath in a way that kick-started his soul's spiritual journey. And so in his next 2 lives, he was born as a Shiva Yogi. And then in the 4th life in this succession, he was born as a yogi again, of course, and this time his name was Sadhguru Shri Brahma. And then he was finally born in his current life as Jaggi Vasudev, aka Sadhguru. Now surprisingly, in all of these 5 lives, he was born as an Indian man. And the story gets even more absurd when Jaggi Baba tells you the divine purpose of his birth.
Many thousand years ago, there was a yogi whose name was Sunira.
Sunira saw that human consciousness could be evolved if you produce a perfect human being. He wants to build a living Shiva.
So according to Jaggi's story, Yogi Sunira was unsuccessful in their project of creating this perfect human being, aka a living Shiva.
So here and there, down these 40,000 years, many ambitious yogis picked up the same project that Sunira had left.
Creating a perfect being, but not as a human being.
They wanted to manifest this dream of elevating entire human consciousness through the creation of a Dhyana Linga.
One of them who had such a desire fixed me up for the job.
So Jaggi Baba spent 3 consecutive lifetimes prior to this one as a yogi, trying to create the perfect being in the form of a Dhyana Linga.
You know, someone had to take 3 lifetimes to build a temple. I said that conscience must be so weak. A jnani will not have to wait for 3 lifetimes to build 1 temple.
Jaggi Baba, in his justification to this, says that something or the other kept going wrong in his previous births. So to ensure the completion of this 15,000-year-old divine project, in his life just previous to this one, before dying as Sadhguru Shri Brahma, he had already pre-planned the exact conditions of not only his own birth, but also the birth of 2 other people whose powers would be combined with Sadhguru's to consecrate the Dhyana Linga.
This round when we came, we planned everything to a point where we decided a few people that I need, where they are born, in which womb, how. I place them in the right kind of places so that everything comes together at the right time.
But even after such solid preparation, the 2 other people chosen for this job turned out to be not the most reliable eventually. One of these 2 chosen women was Jaggi's own wife Vijji, who he also believes was his sister from a past life. And the second chosen person for this divine task was a woman called Bharati, who was also a follower of Sadhguru, whose closeness with Jaggi was apparently something his wife Vijji wasn't too happy about. And then in the most unexpected happening, just a week before the Dhyana Linga was to be consecrated with all the necessary divine powers of these 3, Vijji died under very mysterious circumstances.
There is this controversy about the way she died.
There is no controversy, it is just a few tabloids picked it up and did some rubbish. People who have nothing else to do, they keep commenting about it. Absolutely no controversy because it was a natural process.
According to Jaggi the master storyteller, his wife Vijji took Mahasamadhi. which is the mythical process of consciously leaving one's own body. Now, the followers of almost every Indian spiritual guru claim that their guru attained Mahasamadhi instead of dying a normal human death. Now, while this concept might sound divinely natural for the followers of these spiritual Babas, but according to law, it's considered an unnatural death.
It was a natural process, and it's always been there in our cultures. Paramahamsa Yogananda sat in front of 700 people, announced that I'm leaving my body now, and he left.
Now, Jaggi Baba is right in saying that Paramhans Yoganand died in front of 700 odd people. But the fact is that he wasn't doing a public countdown of leaving his body in front of these people, nor did he make any such announcement. Instead, he died of heart failure while reading his poem My India at an event in a hotel in Los Angeles.
This is something everybody is working towards, that you must be able to conduct the most profound aspects of your life consciously. That includes your birth and your death. It is the peak of yoga in many ways.
This story is actually the peak of deception, is what Vijay's father said, and filed an FIR claiming that his daughter had been murdered because of an affair Jaggi was having with one of his followers.
They're just commenting without any basis.
Vijay's father got even more suspicious because her body was hurriedly cremated before her family could reach, even after repeated requests by Vijay's family to wait for them. He also said that there was no custom of burning the body in their community. And even according to ancient yogic tradition, a person who is said to have attained Mahasamadhi is always buried, not burnt.
You know, people who have nothing else to do, they're commenting about it. There's absolutely no controversy.
Another question Vijay's father raised is why she never mentioned her will to attain Mahasamadhi to her own family, while Jaggi claims that she not only told him but also their 7-year-old daughter 9 months in advance.
So she said, right now, everything within me and outside of me is perfect. This is the time I want to attain to this.
After the FIR was filed, by the time the police reached Jaggi's ashram for investigation, he had already flown to the US, and no credible evidence was probably found because Vijay's body had already been burnt. But our master storyteller Jaggi continues to completely reject all such allegations of any wrongdoing raised by Vijay's family.
They're just commenting without any basis. If anything like that was there, you think all these young people would be around me, supporting and making things happen?
This case is so murky and suspicious that even his young fans, who generally blindly believe him, seem a little unsure about Jaggi's involvement in this case.
Of course, we cannot come to a conclusion about his wife. We are not sure. We only know what he is saying.
And what Jaggi Baba mostly says is so ridiculously absurd that even other spiritual gurus who politically align with him have started calling him out. For example, this is what Ravi Shankar had to say about Jaggi's story that his wife Vijay had to remove all the rings from her body before attaining Mahasamadhi because metal restricts one's soul from leaving their body.
I mean, how can intelligent people believe in something? You remove a ring and somebody died. This is like fantasy stories, cheap tactics and fooling people.
Talking of cheap tactics to fool people, Jaggi Baba doesn't only sell 1,000 products through his different brands, he also sells the lie of having experienced extraterrestrial life so that he can sell his sacred walk tour to Kailash Mansarovar, where a seat could cost you as much as 50 lakhs.
We attracted certain life which doesn't have any texture of earthly life.
And how do you conduct these experiments?
I used certain people to invite them into their bodies, and what happened there is totally… And see, this is Kailash. It is the greatest mystical library on the planet.
That place?
Yes.
Kailash.
And if this wasn't enough of a cheap tactic to fool people, Jaggi Baba has also tried to validate his divine existence by pretending to drink cobra venom on stage.
We have some venom from a black cobra.
And common sense says that the cobra venom must have been as fake as all the stories he peddles about himself. Okay, so let's come back to the fantasy story of Jaggi Baba having taken birth to complete the most divine project of creating the most perfect being in the form of a Dhyanalinga. So according to Jaggi's story, he had pre-planned Vijay's birth in his previous life, but for some odd reason, she chose her own death a week before the consecration of the Dhyanalinga. And believe it or not, the third chosen person, Bharati, prioritized her kid's school function on the day she was supposed to show up for the completion of this divine project. And because of all of this, Jaggi Baba claims that he had to use more of his own powers to compensate for the lack of their powers, and the result was that
in about 8 months, I aged about 25 years. My hair grayed completely, my whole body changed, everything happened. Everybody knew anyway I'm going to die shortly.
But then he claims his followers forced him to wear an ankle ring which uses the collective power of his followers to keep him alive. Which sounds weird, not just because it is a ridiculous story, but also because Jaggi Baba claims that he has miraculous powers to heal himself. So then why does he need the power of his followers to protect him?
I just, in a field hockey game, I fractured my left ankle, and by then I had also become a chronic asthmatic, and I had a very severe bout of asthma. And this pain and this inability to breathe together, they were quite something. At that moment it occurred to me, if the maker of this body is inside, why is it that I cannot mend this from inside? I sat down with my eyes closed for about little more than an hour. When I came out, my asthma left me, never to come back again. And above all, my fractured leg was perfectly okay in little more than an hour's time.
Over the years, it seems Jaggi Baba has converted his magical healing powers to magical storytelling powers. Because in the recent past, he's had to visit the hospital a few too many times.
So 3 years ago, it so happened, I was playing soccer with the kids and I tore my left knee. Then the only damn game I can play is golf.
His divine powers might not allow him to play hockey and soccer anymore, and only allow him to play golf. But he still claims to have a fairly divine immune system.
They said my immune system is about 5 times stronger than what is considered normal. I didn't even catch a cold, okay?
Wait a minute.
Sadhguru has a slight cough and cold, so
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Irrespective of whether his powers are working on his own self or not, they do seem to be working extremely well on the millions of followers he's accumulated throughout the world. Now I'm sure the techniques of yoga and meditation that Jaggi Baba learned from his guru in the 1980s and then repackaged as his own in the 90s are useful for its practitioners. And add to this the exceptional value of the spiritual placebo effect, makes many of his disciples believe extremely strongly in him, so much so that they'll buy any story that he sells, except the theory of him being just another fraudulent spiritual Baba.
Technically, he is one of the biggest influencers in the country. He's influencing so many minds, so many powerful minds, because there's upper middle class, rich people who are also followers of Sadhguru. That pisses off politicians and they paint an extremely bad picture. Nothing pisses off politicians more than someone gaining power.
Okay, so youth icon of fake spirituality and India's #1 fraudcaster believes that politicians are the ones defaming Jaggi Baba, instead of believing in the reality that politicians work closely with Babas like Sadhguru to use his followers as their vote bank. And in return, Babas like Jaggi use the politicians' political power to keep growing their business and personal influence with total immunity.
Because the central government is Bharatiya Janata Party, of course, I will do everything possible to support this because it matters for the country.
Even though Jaggi Baba's foundation has active projects with many state governments across political parties, especially in southern India, his affiliation with the BJP and Modi government keeps growing stronger by the day.
Our beloved Prime Minister, Narendra Bhai Modi, our beloved Prime Minister, is many things, but he's a yogi to start with.
And he doesn't stop at just opening up his audience to the BJP. He goes far ahead of this and brainwashes his spiritual audience with BJP's dangerous communal agenda.
Our former Prime Minister said, the first access to all resource must be to the minorities, particularly to the Muslim minorities. Islamic invasions, they've done terrible things to us. Thousands of temples were raised and it will be raised in future also. People are afraid because they know if the numbers increase, what will happen to them? The majority communities, they're trying to protect their rights because they feel threatened. We call ourselves a secular country, which we are not. This is Hindustan, land of Hindus. We must rename this country in a way it reverberates in everybody's hearts.
Wow.
Now it's no surprise that the self-proclaimed authoritarian also likes authoritarian politics. And in the world's largest democracy, Jaggi is absolutely free to have his political opinions and express them freely. And I truly believe in this, despite my burning desire to tell him that.
You are a bloody fool, you are destroying the democratic fabric of a nation.
But instead of using such harsh words for Jaggi Baba, I'd rather remind the audience that on one hand he promotes religious nationalism in the political sphere, while in the spiritual realm, he only propagates international secularism.
If human intelligence does not tie itself down with identity, every human being will realize the nature of life. The moment you identify yourself with something, nation
or race, religion, whatever, your intellect's work is just to protect that identity. So the only thing I did with my life is, I never identified myself with anything, and life just exploded within me.
I really wish Jaggi Baba stresses more on this idea of giving up these identities to truly feel life explode within you, rather than making the majority's emotions explode on the outside by instilling fear and anger within them against the minorities.
Constantly talking minoritism, people feel uncomfortable. What's going to happen to us? Whether it's real or it's just perceptional, it doesn't matter. But this feeling is strong.
But irrespective of what scam Jaggi Baba pulls and how many times he's exposed for it, his immaculate propaganda skills have ensured that his followers will never believe that he's the perpetrator of any wrongdoing, and instead will always see him as the victim of vicious propaganda.
He's always been portrayed as a negative person, not just him. Anybody who's coming as a representative of a Hindu, teachings, just because of this conditional, this mindset.
I think
anything about Hinduism is something, it's not good for us.
I mean, whatever said and done, one has to appreciate the business acumen of Jaggi Baba. That even after the failure of his first two business ventures related to poultry and construction, he quickly cracked the business of spirituality and turned himself into a brand that started with selling the idea of enlightenment and now sells everything from temple products to jewelry to dosa mixes. And through his master storytelling, he's probably managed to become India's most watched English-speaking godman.
Our video views are 2.2 billion.
2.2 billion video views?
Yes. Why? Because it's worked. Because the only reason is it has worked. And there are millions of people who will acknowledge that it is super useful for them. If you think it's trash, it's unfortunate.
Now, just like my favorite fake spiritual guru, Sri Kumare, I'm sure Jaggi Baba has also managed to impact many lives.
I will remember him from the day I die. I will tell my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids about this wonderful person that came into my life and changed me.
It's definitely, I would say, Sadhguru's whatever teachings is there, it's definitely life-changing.
But unknowingly, what's even more life-changing for the followers of these religious and spiritual Babas is how they hijack their brain and kill their ability to think independently by enforcing some absurd and ridiculous ideas of life on them.
It will be logical because it will not fit into the framework of human logic.
Anything, any belief which is devoid of logic, reason, rational, evidence, witness, that is faith. And I really wondered, what is the difference between faith and stupidity?
Yes, that's true.
So my only reason for making this video was to reiterate one simple point, which is,
we may die young, we may die old, we may die this way, we may die that way. But we should not die stupid. Being a human being, you are supposed to think. If you cannot, you are stupid. You must promise me we as a generation will not be that kind of people. Whatever else happens, happens. We won't die stupid. This is my commitment.
इस वीडियो के सामने आने के बाद सवाल तो बनता ही है.
What is the first thing you notice when you meet a person?
Just everything.
Everything.
Everything. Past, present and future.
You say that you can just look at somebody and tell their past, present and future. Now we'd really appreciate it if you could look at me and tell my past and present. Anything.
No, I am not an astrologer for you. I am not in that profession. We have nothing against anybody, but if we do not protect what we value in our lives, we are not good human beings. So this is not to fight somebody, this is not against anybody, but this is to preserve what is precious to humanity. Hello? Isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Pranam, Vanakkam.